Alright, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. We're talking about the New York Jets. Alright, I did not wake up today thinking I was going to talk New York Jets football, but here we are. Frank Reich just got hired to be their offensive coordinator. This has been in the cooker for a couple of days now, so Jets fans are not surprised in any way, shape, or form that Frank is going to be their offensive coordinator. You guys just picked up your defense coordinator. You got your head coach, obviously, in Aaron Glenn. Justin Fields is not going to be returning. You've got the second overall pick. You got a good amount of cap space, but here's the thing. It's a horrible quarterback draft class, and, folks, I'll cut right to the chase. We're talking about the Jets offseason, and we're talking about Frank specific. This does not seem like a hire that lasts more than a season. If I had to take a guess, I would imagine Aaron Glenn gets fired at some point by around week 10, and then Frank comes in as the interim, and then you guys move forward in a different direction next season. But hopefully it doesn't go like that. I'm not really convinced Aaron Glenn is an NFL head coach, but they did not have the quarterback last season. When you don't have the quarterback, it sucks. But here's why I'm not a huge fan. I have even got a Jets jersey right there, Aaron Rodgers. The whole situation, like with New York, it reminds me, I'm from Chicago, all right? I'm from Chicago. The Jets and the Bears organizations, they remind me of each other. And they seem different. The Bears owners are like, it's an old lady, right? The Jets is different. But the whole Aaron Rodgers situation 1 year ago when they decided to not bring him back, and then, I get it, like part of it is Aaron Rodgers being Aaron Rodgers, and maybe Aaron is, kind of like, being a little dramatic. It's not as cut and dry, or it's not as black and white as what Aaron Rodgers said. Like, why'd you guys make me fly all the way out here just to tell me you're moving in a different direction, and I barely even saw Aaron Glenn. So that rubbed me the wrong way. It just doesn't seem like... It just rubs me the wrong way. And, let me know, Jets fans, if you guys feel similar, because I was pretty big on this team last season. And, the biggest reason was... honestly, Aaron Glenn, Tanner Engstrand. I felt like Justin Fields could at least lead a team to like a 7-10 record, folks. Wasn't even close, and he got pretty much delegated to the third spot. And because of the contracts, Justin Fields is definitely not coming back next year. Dante Moore was supposed to be the other first-round quarterback, but he decided to go back to Oregon. So now the New York Jets have the second overall pick. You've got two first-round picks, actually, and there's like one mocked first-round QB. So what I would do just to get it out of the way is I would probably see if I can trade for like Kyler Murray. I know Frank's had some history with like Jacoby Brissett. Maybe you go with Jacoby Brissett. It just doesn't look good. If you're not going to make a move for like Kyler, what I would do is I would draft a player like Garrett Nussmeier. I think he's a first-round talent, and I think he's the Tyler Shuck of last year's draft, and I could see the New York Jets or a team like the Jets taking him in the third round, and, it probably wouldn't be the day one starter, and, probably come in to start at some point in the season, and, maybe Frank can get him going right. He's very good at developing quarterbacks. That's his history. That's his MO. So maybe they go with, like, Garrett Nussmeier in the third, fourth round, whatever it is, and then at the end of the season, you deploy him like Tyler Shuck in the New Orleans Saints, and then maybe he shows out, and you guys have some hope here, right? I'm curious, though, we're Jets fans, so, welcome back. This is our first Jets video on this channel. It's a relatively new page, so hit that like button. It goes a very long way. Thank you guys so much for watching. We are 93 subscribers away from our goal of 200 by the end of February, so hit that sub button if you enjoy and want to see more. Frank Reich, and I always call him Frank Reich, all right, so just keep that in mind. Him and Aaron Glenn have a little bit of history. Back in 1996, they played for the New York Jets together. Frank was the quarterback. Aaron was obviously the defensive back. They went 1-15, all right? Now, here's Frank. I'm just going to give you this. This is from The Athletic, all right? Just a quick little, debrief of Frank. Here we go. He coached Philip Rivers with the San Diego Chargers as the quarterback's coach and offensive coordinator in 2013-15. He was a huge piece of the 2017 Philadelphia Eagles Super Bowl run as their offensive coordinator. That was when Carson Wentz turned into an MVP, and then Nick Foles had to come in for the injury, and the rest is history. He was then hired as the head coach for the Indianapolis Colts from 2008 to 2022, and they actually were pretty solid all the way up until 2022. That was the year of Matt Ryan. Right? That was the Matt Ryan year. That went bad, so he got canned. But in his first 4 seasons with the Colts, they were 7th in offensive EPA, 9th in scoring, 11th in yards, 5th in rushing, 15th in passing, 7th on third down conversions, 11th in the red zone. Here. Andrew Luck, Jacoby Brissett, Phillip Rivers, and Carson Wentz were his quarterbacks in each of those seasons. And then the Matt Ryan year, and then he goes to be the head coach of the Carolina Panthers. He was fired halfway through the season because they were 1-10, and they were bottom 3 in every single category. Now, here's the thing about that. If my memory serves me right, maybe I should have Googled this. I thought Frank Reich wanted C.J. Stroud over Bryce Young. That was the year they took Bryce Young. That was the year the Carolina Panthers did the whole DJ Moore and swap first round picks to the Chicago Bears that ends up resulting in Caleb Williams. But they took Bryce Young number 1 overall, and ends up working out because Bryce looks fine now. He looks like a capable starting quarterback for the long term, and playoff quarterback. Obviously, first year this season making the playoffs, but. I mean, that was a really bad roster. Their leading receiver was, I believe, Adam Thielen. Adam Thielen, almost just retired, and this is only a couple of seasons ago. So the whole Panthers situation didn't work out. It ended up working for them because, like I said, they ended up getting Dave Canales the year after that, and they still have Bryce Young. But I kind of thought Frank wanted to draft C.J. Stroud over Bryce Young, but that could just be hearsay. You guys have projected around $60 million in cap space. Made a bunch of trades, at the deadline last trade deadline. You've got the 2 and 16th first round picks. The main priority is just what's next. Justin Fields. What's next with the quarterback situation? You got the DC hire. Let's see here. Glenn's still on the head coach. Breece Hall's a free agent. There was another free agent for the Jets that I think it was a defensive player. Breece Hall's hitting free agency, and while I'm sure the Jets would, probably like to bring him back with the proper contract, I'm sure Breece Hall is just a member of a different team next season, which is unfortunate, but they're going to be able to draft somebody if they don't like their room with Braylon Allen and Isaiah Davis. Running back's pretty expendable, so the big thing is just the quarterback sitch. But their ESPN's big prediction is actually a Kyler Murray trade. Kyler is a bad fit for teams that want to run a lot of under-center offense, but the Jets ran the 8th most shotgun or pistol sets in 2025. He's got a big contract, so it would cost very little in draft capital. But, no matter what happens with the quarterback situation, this roster's just got to get better, folks. Here are 2 bottom feeder teams I watched so much football of last season because I covered the NFL on Will Upton. A lot of you guys came from Will Upton. And so, especially towards the end of the season, I like rapid reactions. I do 2 or 3 rapid reactions a day. So I'm watching a football game at, 1 o'clock. I live in Florida, watching one at 4, watching one at 8, and I'm covering right away each game immediately. And so teams would play the New York Jets Jacksonville and whatever, Houston, Seattle, the top teams, the Patriots. You would have those guys play the Titans and they would play the Jets, and I would watch these games because I would think, oh, well, the Jets or Titans aren't going to win. So I'll cover the Jags game. Oh, Jesus, sorry, I just hit my knee. I'll cover the Jags game right after this because they're going to beat the Jets. I watch a lot of Jets and a lot of Titans football, folks. Nobody would rather be a Jets fan than the Titans right now. That's the Cam Ward situation. And obviously, this isn't even speaking about the Robert Saleh and Brian Dable coordinator hires. But I watched so much Jet football. I watched so much Titan football last season. It was just night and day. This roster needs to get better. It just has to get better. And it took me 9 minutes, I guess, to even get into this portion of the video. But I'm a little bit worried about the Jets because Aaron Glenn just went 3-14 in his first year. So, I'm so big on Garrett Nussmeier. He played through an oblique injury all last year. He was a projected, top 10 draft pick 1 season ago and was just banged up, played only 9 games for LSU, and the injury was kind of under the radar. So he wins the Senior Bowl MVP 1 week ago. I think he's last year's Tyler Shough, okay? But here's the issue. I don't think Aaron Glenn is putting anything into any quarterback outside of the first round. And that's the issue is there's no other quarterback at 16 that's supposed to go there. There's no quarterback that's supposed to go at 2. So you can take best player available at pick number 2. You can try and trade back from 16 to the end of the first, early second, and take somebody. I just worry about this Jets team because Aaron Glenn went 3-14 last season, and he's going to want to win football games. And that could result in, I think we're done with Carson Wentz. We're done with Marcus Mariota. But, that's when we're talking about Kirk Cousins. That's when we're talking about fucking Kirk Cousins. I don't want to see Kirk Cousins as starting quarterback on the New York Jets next season. That's so underwhelming. There's no future there. Now, maybe they pick up Kirk Cousins in free agency and they draft Garrett Nussmeier in the draft, and that would be, kind of like a plan that I could get down with. But still, man, I just worry about this Jets team because the roster it needs a lot of work. Their leading receiver was Garrett Wilson with 395 receiving yards, and he played, 8 games? I had him in fantasy football. I was devastated when he got injured because I also had Tyreek Hill. He played 7 football games. Garrett Wilson played 7 games, and he led the team in receiving yards at 395. Guys, come on. It's horrible. So, the defense needs more talent. The offense needs more talent. Now, there's some aspects I really like. Obviously, Garrett Wilson's coming back for next season. I like some of these running backs behind Garrett or Breece Hall. I like your two tackles, but I like the offensive line in general. They put some work into that O-line for Justin Fields last season. A.D. Mitchell, John Mechie, Arian Smith. Smith was the rookie of last season. The other two were recent additions. Maybe there's something there with A.D. Mitchell and John Mechie. Probably not, though. And Garrett Wilson, you just need more. No matter who's the quarterback, obviously, you just need more weapons for this team. And I felt even bad last year. And I, make these videos for a Will Upton. I'd be like, man, I just, Garrett Wilson's a wide receiver. They just feel like the Chicago Bears with Justin Fields last year with DJ Moore. He needs more. No matter who's the starting quarterback, they need more wide receivers. I really liked Mason Taylor, the rookie. And then, defensively, obviously, you guys have, littered with talent. Big Sauce Gardner trade. It's just time to fill the bottom of this roster. And you look at a team like the Patriots last year, where they had $100 million in cap space, and they were a 4-win team. They spent a boatload of money in free agency, specifically on the defense, and look at their defense now. They're playing this weekend in the Super Bowl. Take a look at the Titans. The Titans this offseason have the most cap space in the NFL, projected around $100 million. They're going to go spend out a shit ton of money in free agency. They're going to be a better roster next season. So the Jets have about $60 million to work with. They need a quarterback. You've got some draft capital. You got 2 first-round picks. There's a bunch of options, and I just don't really feel comfortable that they're going to pick the right options. So let me know what you guys think about the whole quarterback Jets situation. Let me know what you think about the Frank offensive coordinator hire, and just let me know your thoughts on this New York Jets team. But that's it for me. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Let me know your thoughts down below. We'll see you guys later. Peace.